Hello there, Maverick traders. This is Rob Reinhold. It is the Currency Recap, December 18th. 2 weeks left in this year. Let's see what happened. In this session, we're going to go through the news of the day. We're going to look through the broad markets and commodities. Then we're going to take a look at the current market scoring from +3 to -3. And then what we do is we take those scores, and that determines what we're going to look at for trading opportunities. We're going to pit the strongest against the weakest.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional Forex and crypto traders. Maverick Currencies is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional Forex and currency trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
Today was a pretty mellow day when you take a look at everything. This is where we started the week at. We said that Bitcoin, Ethereum were showing the most strength. They were looking like an okay trade, not a great trade, an okay trade. And then we had the Aussie and the yen in the next spot at +2. In the worst spot, we had dollar at -3, and we had all the European currencies and the CAD at -2. Now, this is where we ended last week, but we did get a little bit of a bounce in the dollar and the European currencies today. So as far as the news goes, we didn't really have any news. We did hear a lot out of some of the ECB governors, and basically they're saying it's way too early for them to come out and talk about cutting rates and becoming dovish. And we heard that across the board. There were several of them all united saying, hey, we are not going to be dovish yet. And one of them came out and said, definitely we're not going to pivot until at least March, and we're definitely not looking at a cut until at least the summer. Other than that, there is just not a lot of news out there today because we are all sitting around waiting for the Bank of Japan tonight. Big news tonight. Bank of Japan, are they finally going to end their bond buying program and their quantitative easing program? All the other central banks around the world have done it. The Bank of Japan is the last one. Big news tonight, so be ready for that. With that anticipation, you can see the yen actually fell. The yen has been the strongest of the Forex currencies lately, and you can see giving a little bit back. I talked about this in the currency room over the weekend and basically said that the yen has had a big run-up in anticipation of the Bank of Japan tonight. If the Bank of Japan disappoints, the yen's got a lot of hot air in it. They could easily come back out. So if the Bank of Japan doesn't say they're going to be ending their quantitative easing program, this yen could have a pretty significant fall from that. If they come out and say, yes, we are going to end our quantitative easing, then I think the yen has some more upside. I think the yen has already had a lot of this gain in anticipation, but this is a big trade. If the Bank of Japan is getting out, then this yen probably has more to go. With that being said, I am not looking to stick my neck out in either direction. I'm going to let Bank of Japan come out. I'm going to let the yen do its thing, go crazy up and down. I will come in at least a couple hours after that and start to look, but not before that. I have no desire to get in front of this buzzsaw, and I don't think any of you should either. This is truly a coin toss. No one knows what's going to happen, and the move is going to be big. All the stops around the current price are very highly likely to get hit. We recommend you just avoid this altogether. There could be a big trade on yen down the road, but we just think it's too risky. As you can see, the European currencies did well with the ECB news. Everything else pretty much flat. These numbers are just not enough to make any sort of trades. I mean, there was just no trading opportunity unless you were in euro or Swiss franc against yen. If you were trading anything else, it went absolutely nowhere, and it was a frustrating trade. As you can see, the S&P went up about 0.5%, while the world markets went down about 0.5%. Again, these are small moves. Again, we're at the end of the year. Crypto went up 1.25 as a basket. This was pretty much all from Bitcoin. And you can see that gold and oil went higher in spite of the dollar firming up a little bit. That's a good sign that these want to go higher anyway. And looking at crypto, as I said, pretty much Bitcoin was the only game in town. Ethereum up about 1%. That's just not a very big move in the world of crypto. So Bitcoin really the only game in town as well. Did anything change? Well, we were at a +3 in equities, and we are still at a +3 in equities. We talked about how this had a really nice high base. We broke out. I talked about how we went parabolic. And I said, usually when things go parabolic up, they come parabolic back down. But where we are in the calendar, there just doesn't seem to be any reason at all for anyone to sell before the end of the year. So I said, if anything, I think we get flat or we could get a melt up. And today's price action was exactly that. It gapped up. As you can see, this candle, the open was the low. That meant people were out there buying on the bid the whole time. There's not a lot of people out there buying, but you can see there's just an absence of selling. Very likely we continue to just get a drift up throughout the week to maybe where we end up 1% or something like that. So with that backdrop, what does that mean for crypto? What does that mean for the equity markets? And what does that mean for the Forex market? Well, I'm not ready to make any big, bold call until we get through the Bank of Japan. Now, this says tentative. Most of the time, this number comes out around 12:30 Eastern Time. That's typically about when it comes out, 11:30 to 12:30 Eastern Time, somewhere in there. But we don't have a definitive time. This makes this, again, even more difficult to trade the Bank of Japan. When you don't know the exact time this report comes out, it's just very, very difficult. Another reason, I think, just to hang out, sit out, wait for the press conference to come by, then I think you can look at a good yen trade. And I'm ready to go long or short yen. I'm looking to just see what happens, and I'm looking to play a continuation of that. If you don't want to mess with the Bank of Japan, then I think you've got to wait until the CPI report comes out on the Canadian dollar. I'm not looking to trade this at all. The CAD looks untradeable at the moment. We're not in an uptrend. We're not in a downtrend. We're just doing nothing. So I'm going to completely ignore this report. And as I said over the weekend, I'm looking to trade less this week, not more. I'm looking for reasons to not trade, not reasons to make trades. If there's a good move in yen, I will take it. If not, I'm very happy to make one trade this week or 0 trades this week, for sure. Let's go in and check some of the charts on our currencies and see if anything looks decent at the moment. Do you want to be a professional trader? Maverick Currencies is the oldest US-based Forex and crypto prop trading company that will pay you for trading with our capital. Trade our capital and keep 70 to 80% of the profits. We are looking for traders just like you that are hardworking and motivated. Click the apply link on the top right of this video to see if you have what it takes. That link takes you to a 4-minute video that explains the trader position available, and you read a list of FAQs that answer pretty much all the basic questions you have at this point. After watching the video and reading the FAQs, if you're interested, fill out an application, then you'll watch the full-length recruiting video, and then schedule an interview with one of our traders. Are you our next trader? The first currency I want to check out is the yen. So here is a daily chart on the yen. And you can see that we had been in a pretty solid downtrend until about November 20th. And this is when people started to speculate that the Bank of Japan may change their mind. Now, I just want to show everybody. I'm going to go back to a weekly chart, and I'm going to go back a couple years, and I just want everyone to see and understand the size of the move we've had. This is a really, really big move that's happened over 3 years. The yen has been in a serious downtrend for 3 years. Why? Because the Bank of Japan has been by far the most dovish central bank. So if that changes, you can see how you don't need to get the first 50 pips. You don't. You don't need to get the first 100 pips. There is a big potential reversal long-term coming in yen, or we're not there yet and we'll likely roll over a little bit. I like the yen more to the upside than the downside, just because of where we are just in the grand scheme of years and years of trading. I think there's a bigger potential move up than down on the yen, which is why I'm leaning more of my trading towards long yen. But as I said earlier, I am in no way, shape, or form going to get in front of Bank of Japan tonight. I'm going to sit back, have some popcorn, watch the fireworks go off, and I will maybe look to come in a couple hours later and see if there's a trade. But again, no desire to get in the mix. Let's look at dollar. So dollar had a big fall. We talked about how it had this low base here, and it fell in this low base. And you can see that's all we're doing here. We're just low basing again. I like dollar on the short side. I like the dollar potentially on the short side, but the question is, when is it going to drop? Here is, again, low base. We have no idea how long this base is going to last, but remember, the yen and the dollar have been very inversely correlated. So when the yen moves, I think the dollar moves as well. I think this dollar breaks up or down after the news tonight. I have no idea which one. I'm not going to try to guess, but I will be playing dollar yen, most likely, once I actually want to trade the yen again. The other currency that I thought looked really interesting this week was euro, and I like euro short. And I love that the euros had a little bounce. I love that. We got a little bounce today. So whenever I'm looking at playing something, and then it has a little bounce to get me a better price, I'm really happy with it. Here's the problem. There's no entry. Look at this. I mean, there hasn't been any entry for the last 12 days. I mean, there's been little sideways movements. Again, if the yen does something crazy, it is going to push all the other currencies to break down or break out. I'm looking at this for a possible breakdown to the downside. I do still like euro short, but there is no reason to be short right now on any of the charts. 4-hour chart, daily chart. There's just no real entry here. There's just no reason at all. And look, I'm going to pop in on the Aussie and CAD. The Aussie and CAD, again, I want to be long Aussie, but the Aussie is just not doing anything. These candles are frustrating candles to trade because, look, they've got long upper shadows. What that means is at one point of the day, they ran up and they looked great. And then by the end of the day, they had fallen right back down. The next day, it falls down, runs all the way up, and then it falls down again, falls down. Again, these aren't real great moves to trade because they trigger a lot of stops along the way. You want smooth. You want smooth moves. Like, again, in here, these are smooth moves. These are good moves in here. I think it's a frustrating trade. I'm not looking at all to trade Aussie or Kiwi here. That really brings me back to the only crypto. We do have a nice bullish engulfing candle here. Here's the problem. This bullish engulfing candle is pretty much happening inside of a base, inside of just nothing price action. These engulfing candles work much better when something like falls very hard, and then you get the engulfing candle. That's when they work to go to the upside. Engulfing candle inside of a sideways pattern, it is an engulfing candle, but I don't get all that excited about it. I'm still very lukewarm on the cryptos, but I really like the pattern they're making. We love big runs and then high bases after the runs. High bases. This is, okay, we had a little bit more pullback on this one, but you could see it's still holding in. At one point, Bitcoin is going to be a great trade. It's just not now. It's just not now. Over the past 24 hours, we've seen basically the weakest currencies have a little bounce and the strongest currencies fade off a little bit. It's really what we've seen, giving us even less of a good trading opportunity. I think if you're looking for trading outside of the yen, Aussie is basically the only thing you can look to trade. But like I said earlier, it's not a smooth trade. It's a choppy trade. I think it's going to be a frustrating trade. I don't like to make frustrating trades. I like to sit and wait until something's better. If you want to avoid Bank of Japan altogether, look at Bitcoin. Look at Bitcoin. Again, it's still in the sideways trend. I don't love it. This is where I'm going to go back to what I said earlier this week. I'm looking to trade less. I'm not looking for reasons to make trades. And all of this analysis I just went through is confirming, hey, dummy, it's not there right now. It's not there. After Bank of Japan, I'll reevaluate it. But for now, I got nothing to show you on possible trades. I'm sorry. I don't even want to show you anything to put any ideas in people's heads because this is just not here. So let's wrap this up. Bank of Japan tonight. That could change a lot of things. And if it does change it, I will look for reasons to make trades. But for right now, it's got to be proven to me. I need to see the yen break out and the dollar do the opposite for me to get excited. And then, yes, I will take a look at dollar yen. But other than that, I am on hold, waiting for better trading environments. Thanks for joining me. Bye, everyone.